back. Welcome back to our part 3 of day 2 for our posted anniversary, our 6-month anniversary. Hi. So I'm going to bring back my partner in crime. We got Will. Hey, Will.
Hello.
Hi. So we're excited about our next guest, and let's go ahead and bring him on in.
Bring on the Behemoths.
Hi there.
Hey, how are you doing? I'm alone for the moment, but Nathan is coming, so.
All right.
All the high energy here today. I'm so excited. Been at this since many hours ago.
It's always a pleasure. I love doing shows like that.
Finally got my dinner, so now I'm back to like my high energy, and I'm back to me. Yeah. You can ask Will, always like crazy. I have to do the 2 waves. Hi.
She does that a lot.
I do. Usually I'm behind the scenes and nobody sees me, but every time somebody says hi in the comments, I go, hi, and they look at me like nobody can see you. Why? So I have to do it now. Welcome back, Miss
She's in the building.
I know, run to the front and grab all my Behemoth books.
Oh, okay. So I am going to let Will and Miss Jen take this over. I will be back here.
Okay. All right, so Miss Jen, you got a question for us to open us up with?
Well, I mean, I get to interview Kevin a lot.
Okay.
This is our 3rd interview, and it's awesome.
Yeah, like it is in the last 2 months probably. So yeah, it's a monthly thing now.
You were right. Cinnamon was amazing.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'm the biggest fan of that book. I'm so happy that we had the chance to publish it, and there is more coming up. Victoria is right now working already on the volume 2, so super excited to see what's coming up next for Cinnamon.
How's everything going up in Canada?
Doing pretty great. COVID shit like everywhere in the world, but doing good.
All
I mean,
right.
we don't have like too many crazy cases like some states in the U.S. right now, so we kind of blessed with that right now. But I'm going to New York Comic Con, so maybe I will be the guy that will bring back COVID in Canada. So
I'm doing it too, so we can come and hang out.
Mask up.
awesome.
Man. Mask up. That's all I got.
Yeah, I will. I'm double vax and all that type of shit, but
Yeah.
All the vaccines.
yeah.
You're just gonna line up and just like pew pew pew.
Yeah, we were gonna have like a giant booth at New York Comic Con, 400 feet by 400 feet, video games. We will have video games on place because we just announced it or kind of teased it that we have like a video game division that also is opening at Behemoth and a lot of books. So we will be making a lot of announcements and panels at New York Comic Con. Gonna be crazy.
That'd be cool.
So you guys have been around a long time doing comics, but as a company, fairly new. Do you guys find yourself to be a little bit renegade?
I guess, but at the same time, we don't really understand, what's going on. We've been super lucky. Hey, Nathan is there, yo.
What's up, man?
Doing good, dude.
Lord himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the preacher.
The preacher. How's it going? I heard what you said. Yeah, the kind of renegade thing. I guess a little bit. We haven't been around for too long, but I guess whenever we came into comics, at least me and another guy named Ryan, whenever we first started, we didn't read comics. So it was something for us to kind of start fresh with this kind of fresh background of not knowing exactly what we were getting into or what we were doing. So I think it's natural that we do it a little different.
What's your background in? Is it in entertainment or?
Yeah, video games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you start in that industry? Did you just go get a degree and then jump in from the bottom and work your way up?
Yep. Started in animation. Dallas, where we're from, is a really good area for video games. There's a lot of big companies right here, like Gearbox Software. They make Borderlands and Duke Nukem. id Software makes Doom. Bethesda's around here. They make Fallout. So a lot of those big games and companies are around here. So it was like one of those industries that made sense. Good area for it, and it's a very big industry, very growing. A lot of money involved in it, but it is very demanding and very tough. A lot of long hours, a lot of stress. So that's why we're over here now.
So just to give people an idea, when you're starting with the creation of a property, how many hours does it take from concept to first play for something to get rolled out?
For what we call like gold status, so like for like a full release of it for a video game, it could take up to 3.5 years. A lot of the developments that we were doing, some of the lowest budgets that we were working with was around 1.5 million. So around there. So it was a big difference, and even those are small budgets. A lot of games that you may see comics get adapted from, those budgets can be 30, 50 million. Marketing could be, a whole bunch more. It's a lot of work, but when you get it to like first play internal, when you get that first play test, is usually probably within a year you probably get that up and going.
Oh wow!
But a lot of work.
Is the laying out of the story, is it related to the layout story for comic books, do you think?
Oddly, maybe a little bit. I think it depends on what kind of game it is. Certain games have that kind of like linear storyline where you're going to do it exactly the same way. Like even the script of it's going to look identical to like a film screenplay or a comic book screenplay. But games nowadays, there's just so many different types of them that, yeah, some of the scripts can be completely different. And some of them may not even have a script, so very different stuff over there.
How in the world do you do it with no script? That's what I want to know.
There's a lot of games that just rely on a mechanic, that are just something so simple. They don't even really have a story. They're just some mechanic to them that are fun that can get people hooked.
Okay.
There was even movies without script.
Is it really?
What was the first game that you developed?
First game. I'm trying to think. First game that we worked on. We all kind of came from different backgrounds. So like Ryan worked with Gearbox. First game he tested over there would be Duke Nukem. It's unfortunately the Duke Nukem that failed miserably. So I always joke with Ryan on that, saying like it's his fault. But yeah, no.
I did really like the game. Personally, I'm probably the only player. Like I was playing online on my PS3 a lot, and we were like 20 players. It was a fucking joke.
Yeah. We all, I guess, kind of came from different backgrounds, and I think that's what made it good, and that's what made me and Ryan stick with each other. Though, is me and Ryan both had that kind of same vision. We were both creative, and wanted to just kind of do something different, and that's where we got over here. And thankfully, luckily, we hooked up with Kevin, who had a similar vision.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Miss Jen, I've got a question.
Go ahead, Will. It's you.
So here's my question. So you mentioned video games and everything, and you mentioned that you hadn't really read comic books up to that point. So how did you go from video games to say one day, we want to create our own property, we want to do our own thing, we want to make some comic books? How did that come about?
I think it was a matter of we all got burned out over there. And I think it was me that kind of, approached Ryan, and there was another guy named Garrett. They're both huge comic book fans. And like we noticed every day, or I noticed at least every day at the studio, instead of talking about video games, all they did is talk about comics. Did you read this? Did you read this? Did you read that? So when it came to that company going under, going through bankruptcy and everything over there, and the three of us, having a lot of faith in each other, but not getting into any kind of like leadership roles where we were at before, it became logical. Instead of starting a video game company, which the startup cost of that could be just so much more, over here it just became something of like, well, let's start here and then we can expand outward. We can be patient and expand outward, because if anything in the video game industry, you have to be patient. That one property can take 2 to 3 years to get out, whereas in comics you're releasing something new every month. So it's a very different but very rewarding industry we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide your kind of release schedule for how many new titles you're going to be putting out in any given month?
We had to like default to what Diamond told us whenever we first started, because whenever we started, I gave our rep at Diamond, like, here's our schedule, and he just came back and he's like, no. I was like, well, okay. And so he was like, yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that. And he was like, if you do this, you're going to fail. And so, yeah, he just kind of threw us into the fire. But, it turns out, at the end of the day, he was correct. What he was trying to prevent us from doing was releasing too many number ones at a time. which is, in hindsight is great. But since then, we've kind of stuck with it. Only one new #1 a month, if possible. I mean, as we get on FOC now, which I think just started, I think right now we're on our first month on FOC, and as we join that, I think that kind of changes everything because you go from monthly to weekly now. So maybe we'll bump it up to 2, but for now, still focusing on that one release. But yeah, that's basically how we do it. Just try to focus on what's the best title we could put out this month, basically.
I will tell you that it's so much nicer to have companies on FOC. I'm always so glad when companies join it. I know it's tougher because it makes the time you have from those numbers hitting you until print run really tight. And sometimes you print already, but for us, it gives us enough time to, more accurately gauge demand, especially between #1 and #2. It makes a huge difference. You probably will see that in your numbers of ordered things too.
Yeah, I think that was extremely important, and that's what we kept poking them for. And I think returns is something that we're hoping to do. I know Diamond's return policy just changed out of the middle of nowhere, so yippee. But hopefully that's something we can start doing too. There's a few things that we're trying to finally explore with Diamond, as literally we're just now kind of figuring it out. So it's kind of sad, but it is it's cool. We're finally getting there. So.
All right. So I've got another question. Now, you've mentioned properties, and Miss Jen has a bunch of your properties on the back wall there. Miss Jena had a question. What was your first comic book store, and do you know if they're still open?
It was mine, and it's closed. But not by myself. We did actually sell the store, and the guy actually tanked the shop in less than a year. So yeah.
Yeah, mine would have been Lone Star, which is now my comic shop, directly, just strictly online. But yeah, Lone Star, and I think Plano or Dallas. It was one of those. I know they had a few locations here, but yeah, one of those. And now we go to Madness, which is like right down the road from where it used to be.
Oh wait, Madness moved?
No. Madness is like right down the road from where Lone Star used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Madness is still there.
For anybody that doesn't know, Madness essentially has the same footprint as, I don't know, maybe like a Toys R Us or some other like a Target. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a giant open area, everything.
Yeah. The store's awesome. We love going there every week.
So do you need a car? Do you need a scooter to get around?
Right. Yeah, totally need a scooter. It's a huge store, man.
Yeah. Did they start out that way, or did they just kind of like progressively get larger?
They started out in a smaller space, like in the same parking lot. And then, as they progressively got larger, they moved into that one. And I think it literally, funny you say that, I think it literally was a grocery store before them. And they took over that. Yeah. So.
I'm going to find them and put up a link for everybody. So in case they want to go over and check out that page.
All right. So I've got another question, guys. So I was a fan of an MFK. Make sure I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, from Netflix when they came on Netflix, and then whenever I found out, oh my gosh, there's a company producing a comic book based off of this, and then Miss Jen is my go-to store, so I was like, hey, can I get this in my pull box?
It's awesome.
Then,
awesome, thank you, dude.
Then it was like, Cinnamon came out. And it was just like, okay, can you put this in my pull box too?
Thanks, dude.
I thought it was really cool. So here's my question. Since there's a video game background with the comic, if you could take one of your properties and turn it into a video game, which property would that be?
Kevin would have his answer would be his own property.
Yeah, probably.
Because to be fair, his property Freak Snow is kind of like inspired by video games. Borderlands, Fallout, 2 of the companies I mentioned being from around here in Dallas.
Right, and I already have like kind of a concept in my head and everything. So if I get a budget one day, we're gonna release it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, one day. Maybe,
one day. Yeah, that was. I did precise.
Yep. I was gonna say I don't know which one I would do. Yeah, I was about to say it'd be tough. There's one title that we did last year called Found Footage that was really good. It's like released in like a VHS box. I think that'd be an easy one to do as kind of like a top-down type of game. I think that'd be a cool one. Easy one. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got another question. Sorry, Miss Jane, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, of course, any comic book company especially has submissions guidelines and things like that they talk to, and we know sometimes with a new company, especially, a lot of times you're gonna get a lot of submissions coming through for different things.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things you guys particularly are looking for whenever people make a decision to say, I'm going to take my property and submit it over to Behemoth and see if that's something they'd be willing to print?
I think we always got kind of like a weird style, so I think it's it doesn't have to be necessarily like picked like or put down into like something specific style wise. I think we cast a pretty wide net on style, but it's got to stand out. I think that's one of the biggest things. Colorful, stand out. I mean, even then, though, like some of our titles, like You Promised Me Darkness, are not colorful at all. It's the opposite of colorful. So, but it's the same thing. It's just anything that has a style to it, anything that stands out differently. There you go. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's just the style, and I think from there we'll go to the writing if the writing matches the style of the art, and from there. But I guess whenever I first got into it, because I wasn't necessarily into comics, I don't think I've looked at like superhero comics or different things like that. Of course, the first thing I ever read was The Walking Dead, so I already started something a little different and much later than most people. But no, that's pretty much it, and I guess that's what kind of started it as looking at something different than superheroes or whatever was trending.
The beautiful thing about comics is that you're allowed to do that. It's totally okay.
Yep.
I know for me, I think I had a bunch of Invincible trades, but I never really sat down and started reading them until the series came out.
Yeah.
They're great. I started picking them up and reading them and going, oh, so this is how this broke down.
Yeah. No, they're great though.
By the way, I want to make a request. When Cinnamon is complete, can we get a manga size version of Cinnamon?
It's totally
that would be cool. That would be cool.
Let's do it.
And look at that, the cover for the number 2. Victoria covers are some of the best I've seen on the market right now, so I'm super pumped for that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Simon Honor directly on the cover. So and that issue is crazy. The art style goes even wilder. So yeah, if you did like the first one, I think you're gonna love even more this one.
Oh gosh.
Hopefully.
People.
Hopefully.
I bring you front and center, but I'm the least techie person in this whole group. I'm really like going to get people's comments posted.
There we go. Took a minute.
There we go.
Now he's front and center. Yes. There you go.
I try so hard. I'm like, no, you guys you production team, go take a break and do whatever. And then I'm like 3 minutes later, what have I done?
Yeah. That's funny.
But the most important thing is that we have fun while we're here, and I think that's really cool and awesome to get the chance to do that. So, what's on you guys' current poll list?
That's a good question. I got a bunch on mine. I've been reading a lot of Image stuff, a lot of Boom stuff. I think that's one of the kind of staples for me. Just almost anything that they do, that I'll always pick it up. I'm trying to think of a few other companies. Vault, I'll pick up some of their stuff. Black Mask, I always like their stuff. Pretty much anything by those companies I'm picking up. I think Kevin, he's relatively in the same boat too, though.
Yeah, I mean that's what we like. That's what we'll publish. So we publish our title with passion. So it's we got pretty much all the same taste, at Behemoth and Happy Tank. We're all guys that love gaming, like we said. So it's kind of the same type of IPs that fit the gaming background in some way. And we are also passionate by indie films. Like, Behemoth did release a Go Walk Home Alone at Night, and we did release Turbo Kids. So we are really into the same type of properties. But yeah, and I read the Blade Runner at Titans. Like I pick up every Blade Runner, Dune, because I'm actually a bigger fan of Denis Villeneuve than actually those properties. But I became a huge fan of those because I dig so much the style of Denis Villeneuve, and he is from my hometown as well. So I guess that's probably why, more than actually the style and stuff. But yeah, I really love what he does. For me, is the best filmmaker right now in the game. So I kind of became a fan of those properties by him.
Yeah.
Kevin, are you reading both the main story and the origin story for?
With comics, reading is kind of a big word because I have like a pile like that. So I own them, but I did not read them for now,
Bad Kevin.
Here's absorbed.
Yeah.
Reading through osmosis.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel you, because if I did not have a review show that I did every week, then I would have a hard time forcing myself to sit down and do it, because as much as everybody believes that owning a comic book store, Kevin knows
It's
this,
a lot of work. Yeah.
sit down and read comic books all day, it really means you
Yeah.
have no time to sit around and read comic books all day.
Right.
Right.
It's the same thing for us,
Yeah.
But we try. It's part of the job, because you need to know what's going on, what's the trend, who's doing what to check what the writers and the artists and the industry are doing. And when you go to a comic book store, pick up books and read them, it's something like that we discover, new creators that we're like, oh, I want to do something with those guys, or stuff like that. So it's important for us as well to read, and it's part of the job, to read what other publishers does and what creative teams are right now hot in the market or upcoming.
Do you guys find yourselves communicating with other publishers regularly, just kind of like making friends and exchanging information?
Yeah, I didn't do that until Comics Pro. And I think whenever like Comics Pro happened, I think that was like the first time to meet all of them and to meet like Ross at Boom and just all the guys at any of them, and yeah, that was kind of cool, just to kind of become pals with some of them and realize how friendly everybody is. And it's not, as sometimes it seems, everybody seems like at the surface, like real tight about what they're doing. They don't want to tell anybody, and everybody's real quiet. But in reality, like Ross is a good example. There was a title we were looking at doing. We were speaking to a company called Capcom, and they're a video game publisher, and they have a title called Mega Man. And at the time, Ross was also with Boom. They were publishing a title called Mega Man. And it turns out that they had gotten the TV license, but for the TV series that was Mega Man based off of the video game, which I guess were separate licenses. And anyways, it was as simple as sending him an email and talking to him. And he was nice enough to give some insight towards their publishing schedule and stuff that you didn't think would be readily available. But yeah, they're all just really nice people is what I've learned at the end of the day. And, all dealing with the same stuff we are. So,
yeah. And I think that a win for a publisher in the comic book industry is actually a win for everyone, because the comic books are all sell at the same place, So if a Boom title drive like a lot of people to the shop one week, there is a big chance that they're going to pick up one of our book, one of the book at Scout or at Vault or anyone, So a win from us is a win for everyone or any other publisher. So I think as an industry for comic books, we are all together, retailers, readers, and publishers, and there is a proximity as well. It's not like the cinema industry that the star of the TV show, you cannot interact with them and stuff like that. You're too famous. But comic book creators, we're just guys in the basement somewhere writing on a computer. So we we are at the same level of stardom that actually the retailers or stuff like that. It's not, there is nothing separating from creators. So there is like a community type of thing that is happening in the comic book industry. It's super cool that actually you can interact with all the creators and stuff like that. So I think that comic book shop are kind of a con every Wednesday. And that's why the comic book industry is so cool. It's everywhere in the country. You can go on a Wednesday celebrating comic books,
Absolutely. So for anybody that has no idea what Comics Pro is, it's a professional organization of comic book stores that every year we get together for our yearly meeting, usually in Portland or somewhere like it. And everyone stays in the exact same hotel, publishers and retailers. And we have, we stay up until we can't see straight and we get up way too early. And we kind of like hash out all the things that we're working through in the industry to make it better. And it's the one opportunity that I think that it's worth all the time and sleep deprivation, because you really do that face-to-face time with publishers. There's nothing like it. I mean, to sit at the same table with the VP of Marvel, you're not going to get that just with like emails and stuff, because they may interact with you via email, but once you sit across from them, they know you and your personality and see your heart, and getting to know all the publishers makes a huge difference in my ability to be able to tell people, you want to support Behemoth because these guys are super passionate about what they're doing, and they're go-getters, and they're going to do it differently than everybody else, and they're giving us really great books. Every single one's been a hit. And, you know,
Thank
there's and
Yeah.
they sing good karaoke or whatever you find out from hanging out with the comics, bro.
Absolutely not.
I'm good, dude. I'm really good. I can do every track of Slim Shady. But that's what will be for next Comics Pro. You're going to see that, Jen.
The real test is going to be Tricky by Run DMC. That's the
There
real
you go.
karaoke.
Probably we could do like a featuring, man, if you want.
Yeah. Let's bring Will in.
My only claim to fame is Young MC's fastest rhyme.
There you go. Young
That's
MC's
dope.
classic.
Yep. Miss Jen, I've got a question for you. I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. So, what is one of your favorite? What is one of your? Because I don't want to limit it to what's your favorite. So, what was one of your favorite Behemoth books that is doing really well in the store right now?
I mean, the probably Promise Me Darkness is my favorite.
I think that's the one we kind of got lucky on that one. I think that was a little bit of like when we did a Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I think that was kind of like a little bit of a lightning in a bottle with just some randomly long name that for some reason works, and the minimalistic covers, the simplicity of the horror aspect of it. I think You Promise Me Darkness is like it just followed up on that. Was the minimalistic, the long name. It was just simple. But yeah, we by the way, that one just ended, but we have that's coming back. So we got I think February we'll have the second arc of that.
Newsflash.
Yay. Yeah. I was going to say, I haven't said that anywhere, but yeah, it's called Follow Me Into the Darkness.
So I'm a trade type of guy, so I'm gonna ask this question: are these properties all interlinked?
Some of them are, but most of them are not. But yeah, there's a good chunk of them that are. I wish, but I guess we have too many licensed properties to say that. But yeah, some of them are, some of them aren't. But yeah, we do a bunch of trades. Simon and Schuster does carry all of our trades. So, and then of course Diamond distributes them as well.
So the Simon and Schuster deal, that's kind of like a big deal. Like if you can get that, how hard is it to make that arrangement?
It was, you know, it's funny. It was a matter of like probably 25 emails. Just waiting until finally they responded. You know, each email was like just what happened the month prior. So if like sales went up, I would tell them sales have gone up. Like literally, like here's our trajectory of sales. And so I just keep emailing this, you know, mysterious person that would never respond. And before long, finally they responded like, "Hey, sorry." Of course, you know. But I think that was after like a Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I think the sales on that were good enough that we got into that. And then a lot of the stuff we've been getting into, we've been just fortunate with like that. And then right after that, they got bought out by Penguin Random House. So now that deal's closing, you get naturally kind of part of that deal. So that's cool. And then, you know, there's just different things like that we've been kind of fortunate enough to be part of as it's grown. I think the thing, like, if we didn't start when we did with COVID, you know, when COVID thankfully somewhat ended, I guess, you know, it's still of course absolutely a thing, but stores were able to come back and sell stuff again, and you saw the hobby markets just kind of blow up. I think, you know, if we were around at any other time, we wouldn't have been able to have that level of success. I think you know, the same thing with Diamond. I think as we started seeing that success, if Lunar didn't exist, we wouldn't have had any leverage to get on FOC, you know. So I think we just couldn't have launched at a better time. So I think that's how we were able to land anything that we've been able to land, really, just leveraging something else.
For anybody that doesn't know what a big deal those kinds of like the book publishing deals are at Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House, those companies feed into the regular book market. So Barnes & Noble and Walmart and all that stuff. So it gets those titles in front of a much broader audience, which kind of feels like, okay, well, now we're, you know, they're not coming to comic book stores, but that's not what happens. Their first look at those things are at the Walmart or Barnes and Noble, and then they're like, okay, well, I need to find out where, I can't wait for the book to come out. I want the individual issues, or I need to know the other stuff that comes out that's related. So it's a huge opportunity for comic book industry in general when those things get into the book market.
Yeah, that is very true. That was one of the reasons that we've kind of looked back instead of doing just completely mini series, you know. First, like when we did like 3 or 4 issues and then we put it through Diamond as a graphic novel, we'd be lucky to sell 300 or 400 copies of the graphic novel. But now that we put it through Simon & Schuster, a lot of those over there, 4, 5, 6,000 copies, which is completely different than what we were doing through Diamond on the graphic novel side of things. And so like if we were able to do that and see that kind of audience, and then those kind of people now want You Promised Me Darkness, we can say, okay, well now it'd be smart to do a second arc now, and then those people would be driven to the stores. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, and it helps you guys also on the financial end, because that's a big shot in the arm to help you have extra dollars to do the next project, right?
Mm-hmm. You are spot on.
Also, one thing I think is interesting about that, you talk about kind of this, and I love the fact that Ms. Jen pointed out that, it going out to Walmart and Barnes and Noble isn't oh my gosh, they're not going to the comic book stores. It's more like, hey, this is your introduction. If you want more of this type of stuff, go to your local comic shop. But I think what Miss Jen has done so well, and yes, I'm going to brag on you for a minute, Miss Jen. Miss Jen has created an awesome community of people. Because when I was living in near Houston, I mean, I was a kid every time I walked in there. It didn't matter that I was almost 50 years old in a couple of years. When I went in that store, I was like, yes, I am home. What can I get into today? Let me fall down a rabbit hole for an hour and just find books that I never would have read. Let me go look at covers and just see what kind of stuff pops to me. Let me see and I'm also creative as well, so it inspires me. But the thing that's beautiful is that if you have a community that you can go to where other people are going, hey, here's a book that you might like because you've gone down this rabbit hole. Here's something you might like because of this. She's done that in spades, and I know there are many other comic book shops out there that are doing the same thing every day. This is part of the reason why we work with the Experience so hard. It's because we want people to know that there's a community of people out there that like some of the same stuff you like and dig a lot of the stuff you dig. And come join us, man.
Yeah, it also helps so much when we have publishing partners like Behemoth that you're so hands-on, you're willing to come on and do a face-to-face with the customer base so that they can get to know you too. Because I kind of feel like it's one thing to like a publishing company, right? But they're kind of a faceless thing. Like if I could be just a fan of Boom, it would just be a publishing studio, or Behemoth, just a publishing studio. But if I know the publishers from there, it's a totally different, and the creators, it's a totally different relationship. Then I get to know them, and I'm like, so instead of just buying the individual books that I think I might like, I start to buy the line because I know that they're going to be different. They're going to be, not everything's going to be horror or comedy or whatever. But I do know that the mood and tone of that company is of a certain caliber. So I know I can buy in, and it feels good because it feels like I'm, supporting family at this point instead.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
There's a book where there's a cat as the main character of the book. I mean, come on, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. That's very true.
I agree. The first thing that was viral on the internet is cats, So it makes sense. Humans love cats. So probably we're going to make the announcement at New York Comic Cons for the next year. All our main characters will be cats. Even the follow-up You Promised Me Darkness is all cats, That's news cool for you.
Cat horror.
Are you all gonna wear those the headphones with little cat ears?
Cat ears. Totally. Now we are.
Could be some cool merch actually for Simon.
Maybe.
Cat store.
Cat store.
There you go.
This is also a reminder, we've got another awesome half an hour to talk with our friends at Behemoth. If you have any questions, you're watching the show, just throw them out there, man. This is a fully interactive thing. I know you got burning questions that are that don't lose the ability to join the family.
Join us. Here's the experience.
So what are you guys binge watching?
I just literally binge watched, it was not healthy. In one night, I binge watched the first season, and I guess we're caught up on Ted Lasso on Apple TV, which is a fantastic series with Jason Sudeikis as the star. It's so good.
So what is the premise of the show? Because I've seen nothing but that in my feed for.
Yeah, it's So it takes the Premier League, which is this soccer league, or I guess they call it football over there in England. It's the premier soccer league probably in the world, and they're very particular about their football over there and how they handle it. And it takes this owner of a team who she's going through a divorce, and the team is not doing so well, so they fire their coach. And I don't want to give a spoiler, but anyway, she hires a guy who is an American, like an American football coach for just this, like, I think it's like this like low level collegiate team, but he's just had lightning in a bottle here in America, and they hire him, and he's got like this Southern accent, and it's brilliant. So they hire him to be this coach of this huge football team over there, and then you figure out all this like kind of behind the scenes stuff and why she did it, but it's a great show. It's really great. Jason Sudeikis makes it. He's got good humor.
Okay, so is it like one of these like buffooneries where they hire him thinking he's a soccer coach, but he's really he's like American football?
That would work. And she hires him to basically, so she co-owned the team with her husband, but she's going through a divorce. So she hires him to spite her husband because she knows like he loves the team, like everything about it. And she knows like the team will go under and do awful. But of course, the joke of the show is, that maybe this guy actually comes over and turns the team around and it does well and backfires on her. But yeah, it's a great show. You'll love it.
Oh, man. Oh, we've got a great question here from Dan Wickline. It'll eventually pop up when I click it.
What makes a definition? What makes a book a Behemoth title? Not really. Just kind of something unique, I guess. It's basically just goes back to that, something unique, something that stands out on shelves. We do a lot. Yeah, we do a lot of colorful stuff. We do a lot of black and white stuff. We do some horror. We do some comedy. So it's all over the place. It's just like, I guess it's what we like. At the end of the day, we're lucky enough.
Oh, there you go. Such an awesome cover.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is funny. The three of us have a very similar vision to each other. So it's just whatever the three of us can sign off on, which sometimes can be harder than not. But we got enough titles. Yeah, right. Gizzy, that's an awesome one. Yeah.
I think the definition of Behemoth books is probably like everything in the extreme. What I mean by that is like we got the colorful ones, but the like Hyper Magnetic Darkness that are super dark in tone. So probably nothing in the middle. We always like in the extreme of creativity. So I guess that's pretty much what it could be.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
So do you guys currently have Happy Tank as a sub studio?
The weird thing is we bought out Amigo Comics, and that's kind of how we got our start. Is he had some properties, bought them out. We thought we were going to be doing all his properties, and we wouldn't actually be doing much of any comics. Was actually the plan, just to kind of give him the money and the influx he needed to get a wider reach because he's based in Spain, and so Amigo Comics never really had much of a footprint in the U.S. I mean, it was in the Diamond catalog, obviously. It just didn't, sell too well. And so, but we thought we could expand that brand. But again, as soon as COVID hit and as soon as that deal closed, Spain went through a completely different thing at first with COVID, and it was pure heck over there. I mean, it was like crazy. So he went through some stuff, and he's now kind of getting back into it and getting some of his books going. So maybe Amigo will resurface. So hopefully.
I hope they do, honestly, because there was quite a few titles that I really loved. You kind of like buy blind from the Diamond catalog just based on the description. When they came in, almost every one of the titles were amazing, but there was no way to get more because it was one of those things like after initial orders, that print run was set. There wasn't a way to like, if all of a sudden I like had a huge demand for a specific title of theirs.
Yep.
So whatever you guys reprint of things that they've done, I already have an audience for you. So
no, that's good. Yeah, there's a good chunk of his stuff that we've talked about reprinting. Now that sales are growing a little bit, and I think the biggest thing is FOC because that gets it to where, like you're talking about, the print run's not cut where it's at because the opposite of IOC initial order cutoff is basically Diamond tells you the exact number, which is 10% over what the stores actually do. And so you just rely on that 10% being accurate and you don't order anymore. But FOC is a completely different thing. You can give them, more stock. And so now that we're on there, hopefully, we can do that with Amigo.
do you guys do print runs over and beyond that and have them shipped to yourself? So you have some extra stock for like shows and stuff?
We do now. With like You Promised Me Darkness #1. Well, because we didn't with The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, and that's one that kind of burned a bunch of retailers on that didn't, like, the consumers wanted it, but the retailers didn't really know anything about it, or us at the time. And we didn't, so we had to learn the hard way with that one. So You Promised Me Darkness, I think we actually probably did the opposite. I think we printed like 55, 60,000 copies of that. #1, which, to be fair, after the third printing, I think it ended up selling through like 51, which is pretty crazy.
Incredible.
Yeah, but you know, that one did huge. But well, even MFKZ, I think, Kevin, am I right that we printed 45 and we've sold through like 40?
Yeah,
something like that.
That's where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's other titles. I think Spare Parts did like 12,000. You know, so it can be all over the place. As you know, everybody's kind of figuring out where the industry is right now. Things are up, they're down, all around.
You said that the 50 plus was for You Promised Me?
Yeah, You Promised Me Darkness #1. I think through Diamond, the first printing was 30. Oh, I wish I remembered. I think it was like 34, 35. The second printing was 15, and the third printing was like 6 or 7 that it sold through. Yeah, it was.
You guys should be really proud of that. That's really. I mean, there's some Marvel titles that don't break 50K.
Yeah,
right.
We were excited, but then like the next day, Boom announced that they did like 650,000 with like this. Like, all right,
you guys gotta get yourself some Keanu, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
we have a title coming up with not Keanu, but like a pretty big name like that. It won't do 650, but we'll see what it does. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring now and say, whenever y'all announce that, we're gonna need to figure out a way to get y'all back on with the celebrity that you have.
So that's what I was going to say. We can, because that's why we think it might sell pretty well, is because it's him, and I always think it's his brother. It's him and his cousin, and both of them are pretty big actors, relatively big actors. And anyways, both of them have been really cool to jump on Zoom calls. We've actually had dinner with both of them. So fingers crossed that's the case. I know that's one thing that made that Boom title sell so well, is that Keanu was so willing to do videos and to do stuff for retailers, which is, crazy. So, but this actor in particular, one of them is already committed to signing a bunch of copies for retailers. So fingers crossed.
Ruby.
We're gonna start a competition here.
Yep.
So I've got another question for you. Now, of course, we talked about video games and things like that. So one thing we want to ask, as always, with a lot of our creators and things like that, is where can people find you? Is it Stephen Amell?
No.
How'd they guess that? No, I mean, you already got the correct guess. Yeah, Dan. Dan ruined that.
Oh wow!
Well,
yeah.
What?
Dan, yeah.
Okay.
Dan did it before you.
Prizes are just completely worthless because I just offered up.
Wow, that made this a whole thing.
So yeah, there's an article on Bleeding Cool tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's both Steven and Robbie. I think Robbie's the one I'm referring to that's more willing. I think Steven's a little bit behind his agents, and you got to go through them. But both of them have given us their likeness, which has been really cool. So, but yeah, Robbie's the one that's really like up front. Whatever you need from him, like he'll just jump on a Zoom call.
A while back, didn't they?
Yeah, that may be what it's for.
Okay.
You don't got to stop, all right?
You don't know anything. No one told us anything.
We have no idea.
Well.
It's
so funny. I was telling my husband in the car that I love doing interviews, and every once in a while someone will say, well, we can't say anything about what we're working on. And I said, I start chanting, spoil it here.
Well, you certainly did, yeah.
We know nothing.
Oh, my goodness. So that's super exciting. I mean, that is a cool, huge number. And it's wonderful to hear that he's willing to jump in and make his public face.
Yeah.
NDA to the YouTube live stream.
YouTube and Twitch live stream and NDA. Here we go.
Oh, it's pretty cool anymore. Phew.
I did not even
Don't
know
worry.
that you were with Blending Cool. I was just making a joke about the news will take that clip.
It was. It was even worse.
That's pretty funny.
And we need one of those Men in Black flashers to just go back and be like, okay, for the last 25 minutes, it's just 20 minutes that you've been on here. Just watch this light.
Yeah. Whoops.
Kevin never got to answer. What are you binging, man?
What? What I was, I'm just like, did we talk too much? That's the only thing I had in mind. So I don't really watch series right now. So my answer is pretty boring. But I'm a huge. That's something. I will sound super silly, but I'm really into dating, TV reality show type of shit. So I just binge watch a show on Netflix named Sexy Beast. I don't know if you have seen that. It's actually people dating
I saw the
with
trailer for
monster
that.
costumes.
Oh.
That's super ridiculous because it makes no sense. They kind of flirt into monsters costumes, and go check this out on Google. Sexy Beast. It's super weird. People dating like that, but at the end, they find out that they're actually all odd. So there is no point to the show. So they all episode long, they're like, oh, is that person odd behind the costume? But you already know that everyone is odd in the show, so there is no fucking point to that thing. So like they are in Monster, and when they pull out the thing, you're like, oh, it's a model. What a surprise! So it's kind of boring because of that. So I don't recommend 60 Beats, but I think it's not Odd or Not, but there is another one on Netflix that's pretty cool, super silly as well. It's like people cannot have sex on an island, but they're all like nymphomaniac. So it's super silly, but that's another new TV reality shows by Netflix that is dumb. You know, Netflix is good with being dumb on TV TV reality shows. Well, every TV reality shows are good to be dumb, I guess. So
True.
I found myself on a few lists from production companies that do reality shows that they just do regular emails that say, hey, do you have a cousin that whatever, or
yeah, same thing.
3D golf, or they're just trying to look for reality TV fun stuff. And sometimes when it comes up, I'm just like going, who would volunteer for this?
I could. No, but there is 3 shows that I would like to do. It's The Circle on Netflix, Survivor, and Big Brother. I will not do like this shit that are like love based, but all those kind of a competition that are more like quiz in physical activities or just like strategic type of shit. I would love to do it. I'm sure it's super fun to be in those type of shows.
It would be really fun if we could convince the producers at Survivor to let just a whole bunch of comic book people onto the island and see what happens. Because I find comic book people to be secretly super intelligent. And I wonder if we were all looking each other out. Like, all these people are sneaky. They know all physics and they know, watch out. They can do high math. Like, they're dangerous.
I was going to say, you got Tom King, who's like CIA, so you got to deal with that too.
Right. And there is Kyle Hodge that I see every day, like on his Facebook doing muscle and shit. So I don't want to be on the island with Kyle Hodge and Tom King. I'm not sure. Like nerds are not what they used to be, you know. So
it's true.
So you wake up one day, you're watching the show, and all of a sudden you just see like a group like Eric Larson and some of the original Image crew coming out.
Right.
They get the slow-mo walk with the wind machine in the background as they're walking out.
I can see the Godfather making himself a nice wooden, throne.
Right.
Yeah.
Made out of 600,000 copies of Spawn, that could be the throne or something like that.
I just feel like the biggest problem on the island is at some point you're going to get a game going of actually for an hour and a half. There's a bunch of people arguing random different things.
I would love to. That could be really funny that we do an online type of TV shows like that with comic book creators, More in the style of Big Brother. It could be really more easy that we just put everyone in mention like that and we do like 10 episodes and I win because I'm I watch because I will be the producer of the show, so I will win for sure. And at the same time, I did watch every fucking season, so I know what to do and how to manipulate people, So, but I'm ready, and I know it will be really good for our social media presence and stuff like that if I am on the show, because I will be wearing Behemoth t-shirts with the website on it all show long, and we will put our solicitation on my t-shirts as well and stuff like that, So It's going to be a great promo event, and when I will be at Big Brother, you know.
I kind of feel like we all have read so many comic books that probably if you put us all on that kind of show, that you know how they have like these stated rules, that every single person on the show would be figuring out how to ride the line of the rules so closely. Just like remember the guy that was on the pirate season that like they didn't tell me I couldn't steal everyone's stuff. I'm stealing everyone's stuff. You remember that?
Yeah.
But the one of the shows like that was great was with Joe Rogan, X Factor. That was awesome. I will have loved to do X Factor, man.
Dude, we could do X Factor, yeah.
No, it was not X Factor. Fear Factor.
No, it's
X Factor
Fear
is a second one. Yeah, Fear Factor was fucking awesome. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my stomach. So much type of eating of so many things.
Dude, that was the worst part.
Yeah,
if you see them eating and you're just sitting there going like, nope, I'm out, I'm done. I'm sorry, I gotta walk away from all these millions, but I can't do it.
No,
I will negotiate with Joe Rogan to have some ketchup, and we'll be fine, dude.
Oh my gosh! So, you guys have a plan for a full slate of conventions coming up, or just the big ones you just do in New York?
Sort of. We kind of got burned. So when we first started at the beginning of 2020, we just threw out all that money, thinking they were going to happen. And of course they didn't. And then they kept getting rescheduled. And then, because instead of just opted for a refund, we were like, well, I'll just, roll it over. And then it just kept getting rolled over and rolled over. And so we were thinking like 100% New York Comic Con was even going to be canceled. And now, we just got the go ahead 120,000% it's happening. And so we all the way up until like whenever we jumped on here, we've been like purchasing our stuff for the booth, because we did a 400 square foot like walk-in $15,000 booth, and we got to spend another $15,000 for getting it set up and stuff. And so it's a little bit of we have what we have. So we have that one, Emerald City and C2E2 in December. And then we're just now really getting into scheduling most of them next year. So we've missed a few, but we're hoping somehow we can still get into San Diego next year. We'll see. I don't know. It's a mess.
Have you ever been to C2E2?
No, that's the one we haven't been to, that we're going to for the first time, and in December. So we hear bad things.
No. So what you should know about C2E2 is it is, to me, the strongest showing for support of creators and indie publishers anywhere.
Oh, really?
The way that they have their kind of like artist alley set up is it's way more central, and it's row A through, in past years I've gone all the way out to U and V.
Nice.
We're talking about huge, long, gigantic rows of nothing but creators for as far as I can see. It's not a small area. It's probably, in my mind, bigger than the total area of the New York Comic Con, the indie
That's cool
place that they have for them set up. And that's a huge room.
Well, that's cool.
You think you'll like it. And people, to me, I feel like people go to C2E2 to actually meet creators more so than like the famous folk.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like San Diego and New York, it's kind of like by default, it's for the famous folk. And I think Emerald City has a little bit of that too, because of that's where like a lot of the companies are based near there, like Image and Dark Horse and Oni and Oregon. So I think there's a little bit of that. But C2E2 is the one that we've just never opted to, and so this is our first time. But we were a little nervous, about Chicago in December. Seems freezing cold, but being from Dallas, we're not used to the cold. So
I'm from Quebec, so it's probably summer for me, dude.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
With a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, it's like, what's up?
Yeah, probably, dude. Probably like my minus 20 is probably the summer that you got. So.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
what do you think about also Baltimore? It's not so much like a giant booth place to set up. It does show strong love for creative stuff,
which is where Diamond's at, right? So I guess you could always pop in there if you want to. So and set things straight with them.
You go watch the Orioles.
Yeah, no, nobody does that.
So, guys, we are in the process of wrap up. So I do need to ask this question first things first. Where can we find you guys on social media for those who would like to reach out to you guys? Where can we find out links about Behemoth? Anything y'all want to push out there the last few minutes? And that we'd let you go ahead and do it right here.
Yeah, we just so it's weird timing. So we just changed our socials. We just turned them down to being just Behemoth. It was a little bit about a few months ago. We opened up a record division, signed a few deals. We have a deal with Sony and a few other companies. We started doing some vinyls and cassettes for some big bands. So that was a thing, and then we thought about making like a separate page for it, and then we just got the recent news, which I think it's literally being announced tomorrow, if I'm correct. Right, Kevin? Tomorrow is what we decided. Okay. Yeah, we actually were reopening, oddly enough, a video game division. So we signed a few pretty rad games that are coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and also PC. And Nintendo Switch, we have one coming to that as well. So there's kind of like this big change coming in the next few weeks. So with that, we trimmed all the pages down to being just Behemoth rather than having like 14 different pages for all the different things. So cool stuff. But yeah, the video game company that's announcing tomorrow will be alongside a trailer for the video game, and it's a really cool game. It's an open world cyberpunk game I think people will love. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. But yeah, follow us on.
Will it be announced on your site first, or will it be through a specific news site?
Yeah, it's sorry, my dog just jumped up here. Yeah.
There's Lord Behemoth right now.
Yeah. So it'll be that's Lord Behemoth. That's who it is. No, I think we got all the usual comic book ones carrying it. So like the Bleeding Cool, comicbook.com and stuff like that. I think we're going for them because the game's technically been announced before by the developers rather than us being the publishers of the game. Mm-hmm. So we're opting for that it's kind of, we're announcing our game division, but we'll come back in a few months and have a bigger trailer for it, in which it'll be carried on probably like IGN and GameSpot and stuff like that. But no, Bleeding Cool, comicbook.com. Should keep an eye out for it tomorrow.
Congrats. Okay. That's huge.
Yeah, it's
pretty
really
awesome.
It makes sense given your backgrounds.
Yeah. There's Jena there.
Yeah.
Jena, we can't hear you. Jena, you're muted. We can't hear you.
How about now?
Totally can hear you.
My food got here really late, so there's traffic and weather. Sorry about that, guys. I still was here the whole time, playing the comments and everything.
Oh, sweet.
Totally awesome.
Well, nice to meet you.
And the doggo, so cute-o.
Yeah, she's hanging out. I guess she's kind of there. She goes.
All right. So in the last couple of minutes we got, is there anything else you guys want to shout out to everybody that's listening to?
Not necessarily. We got, well, like we said, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We got a lot of licensed titles that we'll be announcing before too long. I think in the catalog right now we have like Watch Dogs Legion, which is based off of a Ubisoft video game. And
Nine Stone #1 next week, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, Diamond. Yeah, I don't know. Diamond's a mystery these days. But yeah, of course. Yeah, right. But no, and then we're joining FOC, so that's a big thing. Like Jen talked about earlier, that's a big thing. So, and then we'll be at New York Comic Con in October. So if anybody wants to say hi there.
Cool.
Cool thing is that I will be there with camera in tow, so
nice.
Awesome.
We can interview you guys at the show, and you can break whatever news you want.
Let's do it. Yeah, we have some.
We're gonna have a lot of news, so that's perfect.
Yeah, there's a lot of news. We also have a panel as well, so that'll be cool.
So Miss Jen better take 1,000 pictures so I can post them everywhere.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that was super awesome. Thank you for joining us. Don't go anywhere because next we have Dan Wickline coming in to guest host on our next show. So don't go anywhere. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.